Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to our Unlocking the Potential of Application Modernization webinar. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ryan Yeagle. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at FSi Strategies. I'm going to go over just a few housekeeping items before we get started. This session will be recorded and we will provide it to you just following the webinar via email. We're going to go ahead and take one poll, and we would really appreciate your participation. If you have any questions that arise throughout the webinar, please insert them in the GoToWebinar platform, and we will pause at the conclusion of the webinar and get all of those addressed. I would like to take a moment to introduce John Firth. John is the Vice President of Products and Cloud Strategy here at FSi. John is an expert of Microsoft technologies, technology trends and analysis, and technology strategies. John works closely with the FSi clients to ensure their success, leveraging up-to-date tools and technology to achieve their goals. Welcome, John. Thanks for presenting today.
Thanks, Ryan, and thank you everybody for joining. So here at FSi, we leverage technology to help companies achieve their goals. And today we're going to be discussing how modernizing applications can help your organization do more. In this webinar, we're going to review a few things. We're going to start with what is application development. Not only that, but how and why application development is important to your organization. Then we're going to move on to how taking these applications and modernizing them can positively impact production and security in your environment. Modernizing an app has many additional benefits, including streamlined development process, out-of-the-box analytics, and we're going to cover all of that later on in the session as well. And then we're going to wrap up with an open question and answer section. So as Ryan said, please feel free to jump in the chat and put in any questions that you may have. All right, so let's get started. Now you may be asking, what is app dev or application development? And some of you may think of it as desktop, mobile, and web applications, something that we're very familiar with in this world. However, it includes developing automation, integration with currently used applications such as Microsoft Office, Teams, Slack, Gmail, Box, Dropbox, many, many more. It also includes business process automation. Business process automation allows for a streamlined approach of repetitive tasks. This allows users to have a checklist where they can check off and then trigger events or a process to move forward. Once this process has gone through and completed, you can have it do things like send an alert or an email to a fellow colleague. Analytics and business intelligence give insights into applications, and these are a huge part of a modern application. These also give actionable data to your end users, allowing them to run the organization with the most up-to-date business intelligence. So we're going to move on real quick and do a quick poll, like Ryan had said. If you don't mind, the poll should pop up in the GoToWebinar platform. And how many applications do you believe that the average organization utilizes? Now, I think that the answer is going to be a little surprising, and it's going to be a few more than you think. So I'm going to give you a couple more minutes, or actually about 30 seconds, to go through, select an answer, and then we're going to move on. For all of you who said 100 and over, you're right. The average small business uses 102 applications, while the average enterprise organization uses a whopping 288 applications. While these numbers may seem rather large, remember that every application within an Office suite or a Google Apps or even something like Salesforce counts individually. Now, what's great about this is that these applications can be extended and integrated so that you can start minimizing down those applications and really build workflows between the two. So we're going to talk about a few stats now. Within those hundreds of applications, organizations, many of them are going to be using legacy apps. Now, what is a legacy app? A legacy app is something that might have been built on premise or built on traditional hardware or just using traditional methods. These applications require a lot more maintenance. Up to 66% of IT budgets are going to be spent on this. That can be for fixing physical hardware, networking issues, application issues. There's a whole gambit of things. Many of these legacy applications do not integrate with other applications either, requiring users to stop and change applications. This switching happens on average 30 times a day across 13 applications. That's a ton. What's even worse is if an issue occurs that takes out a line of business application or workflow, this outage of the legacy application can create a lapse in productivity. This lapse in productivity can take a user 23 minutes on average to regain their productivity. If you pair this outages with the switching of applications, you can see where productivity can hit some hiccups and stop workages. So why modernize your apps? Well, as we previously saw, legacy applications can present some serious issues for your users and IT department. Modernizing your applications can help by increasing operational efficiency and reducing IT overhead while increasing the employee experience productivity. So if we're going to modernize an application, how are we going to do it? All right, I think that we're going to dive in now into Move. Moving to the cloud is the easiest of all the options. It gives you the least benefits though. It does remove the physical element that your application may have been hosted on, such as a server, networking, underlying hardware, and utilities such as power and internet. This allows the provider to handle all of these physical things. There's no real changes that actually happen to the application as you're literally just lifting and shifting it over. So administration doesn't really change, so you don't see improvements on that side. This generally is going to occur when an application can't be put on a platform such as a web app. Legacy applications with requirements such as running on certain hardware or a certain operating system can also create issues for migrating. So you might have to move. This can also be a great choice when you just need an intermediate. You know that you're going to be rebuilding your application in the future, and you just need to get this somewhere that is going to be safe, secure, and eliminate all of those physical elements. The next thing is going to be migrating to a platform. Now, when the requirements of your application allow for a little bit more flexibility, or they're just a code base hosted in GitHub or GitLab, you can quickly migrate those into a platform as a service such as Azure Web App. Amazon and Google also offer things just like this. This is a really good approach if you're moving to the cloud, but you don't have the time, ability, budget to re-architect or rebuild your entire application from the ground up. Migrating to a platform gives control of the underlying operating system. It's much like moving to the cloud because it does handle all of the hardware elements such as physical hardware, network, and utilities. It does allow for an increase in reliability through automatic load balancing and resource allocation, giving your application the compute resources when they need them. This requires zero interaction from your IT department and allows your application to scale up and down as needed. This also gives developers the ability to code what they want, not what they have to, increasing their productivity and streamlining the development process. Migrating to the cloud is a great approach if you're trying to just test it out. And it's relatively easy to get your web-based applications that you had hosted on premise into a platform as a service. However, the preferred method of migrating to the cloud is building specifically for the cloud. This allows the platform to handle almost everything, including the underlying OS and hardware as in the previous two methods. This allows for users to code some or not at all based on their level of experience. Using PaaS, platform as a service, can give low and no code developers a very low barrier to entry for designing and expanding applications and extending as well, using services such as business process automations. It gives them a simple drag and drop interface to literally drag and drop their application into place with logic or with a user interface. We typically suggest that you work with a development team or provide for more complex environments. However, low and no code users can come from anywhere. You might hear this referred to as a citizen developer. Building for cloud allows citizen developers and professional developers or pro code to exist in the same environment, allowing for rapid development of applications that fit exactly your organization's needs. One of those major benefits is the increase in productivity and security. Out-of-the-box features that would typically require very long development times are just there. Things such as identity access and management, user interface and experience, as well as security are all enabled by default. Now, that's not to say that you can't expand on those things. Identity access and management is great, and it can be integrated directly into your preferred solution, Okta, Azure AD, Google, and more. UI and UX design exists natively on a cloud platform. However, it can be customized to fit your exact specifications, making it the perfect application for your organization. And then native security allows for customization and reporting directly from the platform instead of requiring another solution. These are all ways that it can help your end users and be customized at the same time. But let's dive into streamlining your development. We had talked about how building for cloud can allow pro and no code developers to coexist. This is through open APIs, allowing you to easily integrate with your current applications. Most of these platforms are going to have a pre-configured connector or thousands of pre-configured connectors, allowing developers to quickly create workflows and application integration with drag and drop interface, just using logic to build the application. Cloud platforms also allow for professional developers as well as low-code developers to create those workflows, business process flows, and applications at the same time, sharing a common code base. However, no-code developers do not have to ever look at a code base, and pro-code developers can deploy things into GitHub, GitLab, or their preferred platform, and then from there, using pipelines, deploy directly into their environment. This is a huge improvement, allowing both professional and no and low code developers to coexist, work on the same projects, and increase development speed. Another great thing that you get out of building for the cloud is analytics out of the box. Natively providing simplified usage reports is a huge increase over something that would have taken developers lots of time before. Natively building these usage reports is great, but you can also take and pull those reports into your favorite business intelligence tool. Then you can take the data, manipulate it, and give actionable reporting to your end users as needed. This allows you to extend and customize reports to fit the exact needs and unique needs of your organization. Now, I've gone through a lot today, and I know that it's a ton to cover. So what we're going to do is open this up, and we're going to allow you to ask us questions, and hopefully we have the answers. If not, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be reaching out later. I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and she's going to go ahead and read through some questions.
Great, thanks, John. All right, I had a few come in, and if anyone else has any other questions, please feel free to put them in now. All right, the first one I have is, what would be the best approach, migrate or built for the cloud?
That's a really good question. So it really depends on the application. Some applications are easier migrated, some applications are easier to be re-architected. Our approach is to always start with the discovery. Go in, map out the application and everything that it needs to do, and then pick the platform based on that. And you can either turn to your internal development team or a third-party provider like us to be able to help you with that.
Okay. And is there significant difference that you can point out between move and migrate, just to clarify that a bit?
Yeah, so if you're moving to the cloud, you're generally going to just be taking a snapshot of the server and literally moving it, right? And doing nothing else to it. It's just going to be hosted in the cloud. This is very common when you need to do something quickly, or you need to get rid of a co-location. Migrating to the cloud is really utilizing the full potential of the cloud by being able to use the underlying platform. So migrating it or moving to the cloud is going to be more of infrastructure as a service, and migrating to the cloud is going to leverage platform as a service.
Okay, got it. And another follow-up to that is what do you estimate the average timeline for the built for the cloud approach?
Yeah, so it really depends on how expansive the application is, how many integrations you have. All of those things have to be taken into account. It's really, really important to do a discovery at the very beginning of any process of modernizing an application, just to make sure that you have all of your bases covered and that you have a successful implementation of your new application.
Right. Okay. One other one here is you did mention that you don't need a formal development team to modernize. Do you have some examples of that?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of examples internally and externally of clients that have built things using a low or no code platform. This in the Microsoft universe is Power Apps, Google has it, Amazon has one called Steps. This really allows a drag and drop interface for users to just go in and develop. I highly recommend checking it out, but an application that we built internally was a check-in system. So if a visitor comes in to the office, they type in their name, who they're there to visit, and their reason for visit. And when they press submit, it actually sends a message to that user on Teams and tells them Ryan Yeagle showed up to the office with the timestamp and for the reason, please meet them at the front door. So this has streamlined the very old school check-in system and made it integrated directly into Teams. And it can be hosted on anything, an iPad, Android tablet, computer, anything.
And you didn't need a formal development team for that?
No, this can be done usually in a couple hours. Actually, I think that there are training sessions that Microsoft and other companies give away, which are called App in a Day, and they'll actually teach you some of these basic coding principles. You don't actually write any code. Like I said, it's very much a drag and drop interface.
Right. Okay, great. All right, I have one more here. What are the platforms that you would recommend?
So this is a tricky question. I generally recommend utilizing a platform that easily integrates with what you're already using. If you're using Google, Google. If you're using Microsoft, already Microsoft. If you're using Amazon, probably Amazon. This allows integration to work a little bit easier, especially within productivity applications such as Outlook and Teams. So basically, I would work with your internal IT team and see what you currently have and then discover what you should use in the future. But generally, what you're already using should be able to be expanded.
Great. Well, John, that's all the questions that I currently have. If there's any that arise at the conclusion of this, feel free to reach out to us. John, thanks so much for presenting. And we are going to give you a little bit of time back, but please reach out to us with any questions that you might have, or if you'd like to discuss your organization's modernization strategy. And this will be recorded and sent to you just following the webinar. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.